Does your department use email as a way to make requests? The rest of the company can send emails to you, your team, your group, your department to request some sort of action? Well, probably. I think most of us fall into that boat, especially if you're in IT. IT help desks often have some sort of email component. And most of the IT service management tools that we've reviewed on the channel have some way of ingesting emails and creating tickets from them. And that's fine. But what do you actually do when you receive an email in your department mailbox? It's probably a lot more involved than just logging it, right? There's some process that goes on after that. And that's what I want to show you in today's video. We're going to switch off the camera because the camera is super blurry right now for some reason, and go over to a demo of our email monitoring or email processing tool built on the same foundation of Cortex. So I will note that you don't have to be using Cortex for Sharewell in order to take advantage of the Cortex mail monitoring functionality that I'm about to show. In fact, we totally recommend that you have Cortex for Sharewell over with your Cherwell data, and then have a new instance of Cortex. It's actually a separate SKU, it's a separate license. Use Cortex mail monitoring to address your email struggles and challenges. Now, Cortex mail monitoring can work with basically anything that you're already using. It can work with your ITSM system. It can work with your CRM system. It can work with an HRSM, HRIS system. Whatever other systems you're working with, Cortex Mail Monitoring is designed to work with them. That's from the very beginning. That was the plan. That is exactly how Cortex Mail Monitoring is built out. So let's take a look. So here we have kind of the homepage, which it does say it's alpha. That's not entirely true. When this actually ships in a week or two, um, it will be fully baked into Cortex 2.0. So this is actually the main reason that Cortex 2.0 is 2.0 and not 1.8 or 1.7.9 or something like that. Cortex 2.0 is specifically about mail monitoring. Now, there are some other features for Cortex for Sharewell that we'll talk about in another video, but let's talk about mail monitoring. There are basically three steps to get started. One is to connect your mail account. Two is to connect your, it says ITSM platform, but realistically, any platform, and I'll show some of that in just a minute. And then you create a monitor, which I'll define exactly what that is in a little bit. But that's basically the rules that take an email from a mail account to a record in another system or a sequence of actions. Um, let's actually see what that looks like. So here I have an IMAP account set up. You can connect to IMAP. Let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. You can connect to IMAP. You can connect to Microsoft. This is Microsoft 365. Or you can connect to Google. And each one has its own nuances. You can find information about that on previous videos on this channel, or this will be coming in our documentation when 2.0 ships. So obviously, IMAP is the simplest, and some of these settings look familiar, right? The IMAP server, the IMAP port, those sorts of things. So you can set up your mailbox there. Next, you want to set up what we're calling a data source. Now, I've created a data source that connects to our demo Halo instance, but you can connect to Halo. You can connect to another API. You can actually connect to Sharewell. This is in a case where we were kind of reusing some of the same technology that we built for a separate purpose. Uh, but that also shows that you can connect to just about any system that you want. So let me talk a little bit about the API. connector because Halo is pretty straightforward. Uh, there are some Halo connection settings that you pull from your Halo admin console, drop them in here, import the configuration, and then Cortex knows all about your Halo instance and can start generating tickets directly in your Halo instance. But let's talk about the API. The uh, connection details here are basically the base URL of the API and then the Swagger or the Open API document that describes your API. If you don't have one, there are ways to generate one, configure one, that sort of thing. We're actually working really closely with a company called Scalar in BC, Canada. They're doing some really cool stuff with APIs. Cool shout out to them. But they've helped us, or they can help you build API documentations if you have a custom API, or help you build Swagger documents for any other APIs. And you can also find Open API docs for most of the APIs that you're going to be connecting to. Um, I would say most, if not all, of the modern ITSM platforms have a Swagger doc or of their APIs. So even if it's not Halo, you can connect to them super super quick and easy, and we can certainly help you with that as well. Now, authentication is always tricky, but we have a couple different ways that you can authenticate with the API. Um, and then I haven't dropped anything in here, but once you do, you'll see all of the endpoints here. And there's basically a way to configure Cortex to send messages to those APIs the same way that it would create a new ticket in Halo and that sort of thing. So now with that, I can go over here and create a monitor. So I already have a demo monitor, and you can see it's enabled. It's running, and all this monitor does is we'll actually go right to the rules where you can see basically all it does is create a ticket. I built something super simple here. Just create a ticket. It is the default action. It is enabled. But what all goes into a monitor? Well, first off, you can give it, a name and description, nothing fancy there. You connect it to a mailbox. So an IMAP, a Google, or a Microsoft mailbox, like I showed earlier. And then typically you're associating something with a customer. And this requires access to those data sources, right? Where are the customers going to be coming from? And this is potentially useful for additional processing. You might be able to, or you might want to do certain things based on whether the customer exists in a particular system or doesn't exist in a particular system. From a support perspective, right? If a customer is known to your list of customers, maybe they get support. If they aren't in your list of customers, maybe they go down a separate route and you have to talk to sales first in order to become a customer, that sort of thing. Um, so that provides some additional context to the actions that are going on. And then within rules, you have loads to choose from. I feel like every time I turn around, we've added a new thing to this action screen, and this is where all the magic happens. So, uh, quite simply, is it enabled or not? Is this the default rule? If none of the previous rules match, and then oh, it looks like I got logged out. That's pretty cool. Let's go back in and see. Go edit that monitor again. Rules. Add a new action. Okay, so matching criteria. We can say only run this rule if the subject contains something, if the body contains something, if the to address contains, you know, sales at yourcompany.com. Or you can actually just do custom stuff. So you can use an expression and well, it looks like something's broken, but you can use an expression there. So let's try that again, and maybe I won't click that button. We'll have that fixed up for the 2.0 release. Um, so add a new action. let's look at some matching criteria on the mail message, right? Using an expression, matching criteria on existing records, things like whether there is a record based on some ID in the mail message. So this is common for either like conversation IDs, if you're going back and forth talking to people about a ticket, or if you're just looking for a ticket ID or a uh, change ID, something like that, right? This is basically the the first tab. This tab was basically looking at the email itself and doing some evaluation based on that. This tab is more about looking at the system that you're trying to manipulate data in and determining certain evaluation criteria based on that. So obviously, if a ticket already exists, you don't want to create a new ticket, for instance, right? And then actions. So what are you actually going to do? And here is where there's just a ton of stuff. So we have create a Halo ticket, add a note to a Halo ticket, and it knows about Halo because it knows that I'm in this particular action or monitor specifically. I'm leveraging a Halo um, connection, right? I'm talking to a Halo system, so it gives me some options related to creating a ticket in Halo or adding notes to Halo tickets. I can also update Halo tickets and do some other stuff with Halo because again, it knows that I'm using Halo for this particular action. I can also just call off to a unauthenticated REST API. I can call a web service, and over here uh, I don't have any web service data sources defined, but if I did, I could pull that in this drop down here and specify the endpoint and the what type of request and that sort of thing. I can basically pull in something that came from that Swagger document and leverage it right here. Now, in addition to that, we have other things which are kind of starting to get into like programmability. So like run a Cortex action is basically like building a subroutine and running it right from here. So you can build a a macro um, that is potentially reusable. So you could use it across multiple monitors or multiple actions. Um, Updating a variable. This is useful if you want to run multiple actions and kind of have them essentially talk to each other as they uh, execute, right? They do execute linearly, sequentially. So you can start with one value and then add to it and or update it or something like that. Um, and there you get, names of variables, specify a value. And you can actually see down here, I don't have any variables defined, but that's how you can pull them in to supplement additional variables. Um, you can also pull in pieces of the email. And eventually we'll have the ability to pull in pieces from the customer or the record that it's matched, that sort of thing. We're just building up this context so that it's more and more like a kind of a no-code programming environment. In addition to that, and it looks like it's kicked me out again. This particular demo machine is kind of resource starved, so um, it tends to kick me out, unfortunately. So add an action. What else do we have here? So we can update a variable. We can log something. This is useful for debugging, right? This doesn't actually change the impact of the action itself, but it's useful to see that things happened and logging something. You can actually pull in variables or pieces of the email and see throughout the stages of processing, just log it. All of these are also conditional, so you can determine, should they run or should they not based on some, variable expression, that sort of thing. And then finally, we have send an email. So you can actually send an email from Cortex. And if you are connected to Obviously, I only have an IMAP connection here, but if you're connected to Microsoft or Google, it just uses those. You may have noticed when I pulled up the settings for creating an IMAP configuration, there were also SMTP settings for the outbound mail. Um, so if you choose a mailbox here, it'll send an email. So lots of functionality here, and we're continuing to add more as it comes up, as it suits our needs as well as yours. If there's something that you want to see in here, there's links down below to send in feature requests. Um, but yeah, that's basically it for the Cortex Mail Monitor. This is huge. I mean, this far and away beyond what we initially had planned for the Cortex 2.0 release, um, because we just got into it. We started getting excited about it, and there's just so much to do here. But it's time to release this. It's time to get this into your hands. This will be live at the end of the month. If you want to put this on your systems, try this out. It is available in beta right now, but come early April, it will be officially live. You can buy it, you can pay for it, you can get a license for it, run it in production. We want to help you out. We want to support you in that. So definitely let us know. You can book time with me down in the description below. You can also join us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. or any Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We host this Cortex users group every week. Um, you don't have to join every week. You can join when you have time, when you have questions. You can talk to us. You can talk to other people who are using Cortex or thinking about using Cortex. We talk both about Cortex for Sharewell, the archival tool, Cortex for ServiceNow as well, and Cortex mail monitoring. And we also tend to show things that are kind of in development that might be coming soon. So definitely come to that. You can find links down below to get an invite to that. We also have our Discord server that you're more than welcome to join. And that's the same sort of thing as the users group, but it's asynchronous and obviously 24/7 worldwide. You can ask questions, you can learn about what we're doing, and you can make suggestions there. With that, I'm going to wrap up this video because it's getting pretty long. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.